Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in. It's going to be doing just kind of my energy reading, but I kind of went into meditation today, and I was just thinking about the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. And mostly that watch me or see me lecture, or um, has seen me do anything, as far as the motivational or spiritual type of stuff, is it's always centered around me talking about the inner journey. And I want to talk a little bit about why that is so a thing that I push, and why it's something that I very thoroughly believe in. And because it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to actually talk about the experience. And so I just want to start with a lot of things. I mean, I've had many experiences that show me that the more I dig into myself, the better life gets. And so I want to give a disclosure that these stories I'm talking about are not meant to brag or meant to make me look great, because let me tell you, amongst all these stories, there's also all these challenges and things where I have learned from, where I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned from. So when I talk about the inner journey, it's because these are things that I've actually done and experienced. So I'll start off, and a lot of you have probably heard the story. In 2006, I lost everything. I lost my relationship. I lost my job. I lost a place in my life where I thought I'd totally arrived. I was 32, and to be honest with you, in a lot of levels, I was very cocky, and if I was to look back at myself, arrogant, so to speak. And a lot of people would say that about me, and it would hurt my feelings. And so, I was very humbled by having to go back to live with my mother and do those things. And it was very much a blow to my ego, so to speak. So I want to talk about that because the journey that I went through and how that all started was because I had looked at myself and really said to myself, I really don't like where my life is at. Matter of fact, I actually hate it. And this is now 14 years ago. My spiritual journey started way back in the beginning of my life, but that's a whole other story. It would take way too long to talk about this. So then I had all these experiences up to this point, but I didn't fully understand them. And I always felt very insecure about who I was and what I was supposed to do, so to speak. So 2008, I had this massive experience, what I would call, some people would refer to as a Jesus experience. Now, I'm not here to debate whether Jesus exists or doesn't exist. This was just my experience. And my experience was this. He said to me, because I said very clearly, what are you doing here? I don't even like you. And his response to me is, I am here to teach you to love yourself, because when you learn to love yourself, you will learn to love me, because we are all one. And so a lot of times that word, we are all one, is thrown around. But I've had these interesting experiences. One of them, fast forward, that experience happened, and he said a live teacher will come into your life very soon that will start showing you all the steps that it'll take to learn to love yourself. And in came a woman named Virginia Drake just a few months later. And what Virginia did for me is make me face myself. And it was about, you have all this stuff that you already know. The problem is you're so insecure with yourself that you're not willing to share it, or you're scared to share it, or you're scared of what's going to happen. And so this is why I understand why what everybody's going through right now, I have a lot of compassion for it, because I've been there. I was there 14 years ago. I was there previous to that in other experiences. And so those people out there that have lost their jobs, those people are out there that are scared right now, of all the things that are going on. I'm telling you, I've been there, and a lot of us have been there. We will get through this. We will get through what's going on in 2020. It is this too shall pass, is something that I've learned very strongly over the past 14 years. So then fast forward a few years, I would say 2006 to about 2010 was probably the hardest years of my life. I met one of my best friends during that time frame, and he and I went through a tremendously hard time. And then I met my other best friend in 2010, and then we just kind of started building this family, so to speak. And then in 2012, my mother transitioned into spirit. And as a result of that, I had what is called a shared death experience. And what I found through that shared death experience is that heaven, beyond in spirit, you feel no pain, you feel no anxiety. And with that being said, we come here on this planet on purpose as souls to grow, meaning everything is blissful and wonderful over there. And through here, we have experiences that expand, because through pushing of energy, so to speak, that pushes and makes energy go out this way. And then it starts to expand, if that makes any sense. So it's like directional. So it's like it'd be like a plow going through, you know, dirt, and you see the dirt just start separating, so to speak. Is the best way to describe it. I don't know if you were a big push of wave water went very sharply into the water would start to split this way, and that kind of stuff. So when we come into these lives, that's kind of like that push of energy, and it feels very painful to us at times. It feels like a lot of stress. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of emotions that come around it, and a lot of experiences. And so with that being said, what are we here to do? We're learning how to become more peaceful, getting back in alignment with our soul, so to speak. We're learning how to grow as spiritual beings, as souls. You know, there's a lot of stuff that comes along with these experiences that we are having here, so to speak. And so in this experience I had with my mother, I felt no pain, no anxiety, and all that other kind of stuff. And so I was like, wow, this is incredible. So, but the interesting part about that is, as soon as I started thinking, I wanted to send this energy to the people I cared about. And my mother's energies, her spirit said, not yet. And she basically took me out of that experience. And so what that told me is that my mind was still attached to all the people I cared about and loved. And as a result of that, it took me back out of this blissful state. Interesting part about that is that 2 years prior, my mother had had a near-death experience 2 years before she passed away and before she had transitioned. And what brought her back is that she had an experience when Angel came to her and said, you can either stay with us or you can go back. And my mother said, well, I have to go back because Jeremy and I still have some work to get done. Her attachment to me and the love that she had for me brought her back into her body. And through the study of near-death experiences, that is actually a very common theme, where somebody has a near-death experience, then the human life that they have here actually pulls them back into this body. Now, that could be because there's still lessons to live, or there's more experiences there's supposed to be. It could be a lot of other things, but somewhere along the line, there's an attachment that brings them back into this body. And so these experiences come out, and then why I'm telling you these stories is because I want you to understand that right now is a test of faith. And so kind of backtracking to when I moved into the place I live right now. I moved in this about 7 years ago. It'll be 7 years ago in the beginning of September. Very shortly after I moved in here, the job I had, I lost it. But I had some friends that moved in here very shortly after, and they helped me support this house while I looked for work. One of them was my mother's best friend, who needed a place to stay at the time. And another one was 2 other friends that they needed a place to stay at the time. So what ended up happening is the energy of the universe brought us all together so that we all had a home, so to speak. And I can't tell you how many times these things have happened. Then my mother's friend moved out about a year later, and I wasn't sure how I was going to pay my rent in about 5 days. And my job that I was working at the time said, unlimited overtime over the weekend if you help us clean this office. And it literally was enough money to not only pay my rent, put gas on my car, and put food on my table for the whole week that I was going to be around. And so what these experiences of being humbled in 2006, the experience with my mother, the experience with the Jesus experience, and all those things, and all the experience with Virginia taught me is that there's something out there that is working in our favor. It's really working to help you. And that's just a few stories. I mean, I have countless stories, but I don't want to sit here and spend this entire time talking about me. What I want to do is I want to express this message to all of you. This is nothing special that comes with me. These are things that all of you have as well. Because if we are all one, and I know that's a cliche statement, but if we're all connected, so to speak, if we're all from the same source, if we're all children of the same Father, divine Father and Mother, if all that's true, then that means that there is something out there that's looking out for us. And the things incidentally happen when they're supposed to. They unfold when they're supposed to. They unfold when we're ready, and so on and so on. That's called the law of gestation. It means that things happen exactly at the time that they're supposed to, not when we want them to. And so, yes, there's the law of attraction. Yes, we can attract things, but as we have to be at the vibrational match. So if we're asking for something down here and then it starts to vibrate and we come up here, we have to meet that whatever we're looking for as a vibrational match. So if you're wanting a partner, but there's still something in you that says I don't deserve, or still wanting to play around and do that, you're not at a vibrational match with what your intention is. So you have to bring that up. So in other words, you have to start saying no to the things that you don't want, and you have to start saying yes to the things that you do want. And the problem is that we're not clear about what we do want. And that's one of the key things there is we have trouble connecting with the things that we do want because we are not fully aware of what we actually want. We think we know what we want. I'll give you an example. There's a thing called cross-purposing. And so let's say that we use the example of a partner, a loving partner. Somebody says, I want to have a loving partner and I want to have all these things and I want to have a committed relationship and all that kind of stuff. But during that time, you're going on dates and being promiscuous. And there's nothing wrong. I have no judgment about that. But your energy of what you're doing is what is called a cross purpose. It means your energy is going in different directions, so to speak. So you have an intention out here to have a committed relationship, and then your actions, by the way, your actions start to create momentum. They start to push the energy in a way. Remember, I mentioned things, physical life pushes things in the energy, and then the soul or spirit kind of moves in that direction. And so that's one of the reasons why we come into this life. And that's kind of what these near-death experiences and that shared death experience showed me. And many times that I've been seeing in meditation lately is that our intentions, we put it out there, and then the energy starts to move it because energy follows intentions, except that then we start to act on other things that are not in a vibrational match with what we're desiring. And so then those become intentions too. So you've literally got 4 or 5 intentions out here trying to create and bring back to you. Remember, what we put out there comes back tenfold. And so we can have all these experiences of having fun and enjoying ourselves, but what we want is somebody to settle down with. And that's kind of the interesting part. That's why 2020 is such a big year. So all these things, all these demons, all these insecurities, all these things that are going on, people's fight or flight part of themselves is in full force right now. And why is it in full force? Because people are losing their jobs, because people are feeling insecure, because they're scared. Some to go outside. Some people are getting angry about the things that are going on. Some people think it's bullshit. And these are the patterns of the navigation of grief, or the stages of grief that we're going through. And I used to teach those same principles when I was teaching corporate America, navigating change. And so what ends up happening is some type of dynamic has to happen. Some type of change of the way we used to do it has to happen. And then the next stage is that we start to have an emotional response to that stimulus or whatever's changing. And then that can go into acceptance. It can go into denial. It can go into, we have all kinds of things. Like one of the things I used to do this example at one of my jobs, and a friend of mine had alphabetized a keyboard, so I picked up the activity from him. And so I would tell them that the company was going to switch to these alphabetized keyboards, and I literally would have people think I was stupid or there was a joke, and people would leave the room and people would get angry. I had one guy in Virginia Beach, he literally just stormed out of the room. And so, but that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening in the world. There's people that are angry, there's people that are upset, there's people that are sad, there's people that are depressed, there's people that are nonchalant about it. They're like, well, nothing's gonna happen to me, all this other kind of stuff. So that's an array of emotions that we go through when the culture or the dynamic starts to change. And so the reading for tonight is to spend time focusing in on what you truly desire, because now is the energy to do it. And allow all those demons, all that darkness, all that insecurity, all that shadow to start to come up so you can face it. And so as you face it, and this is what it means when I'm talking about the beginning about the inner journey. So when you have the inner journey happening, all those things that are popping up, you start to release them. You start to give forgiveness. You start to say, I love you. You start to say whatever. And what you're doing is you're spending this time releasing this, so those energies are no longer cross purposes. And so what ends up happening is that the energy in the shadow that makes you do things that are habits that you want to break become the cross purpose, so to speak. And if you're not changing or looking at those, you continue to do the same things over and over again. So what's the definition of insanity? To do the same things over and over again and expect different results. And so it's interesting because I wanted to show this image really quick, and I'm going to just pull this up on the screen, but let me just expand this just a little bit because that's going to be a little hard to see. So let's share my screen, and I want to share this with you because this is basically a man breaking free of this third dimensional space, so to speak. And let me move my little banner there. And so why that's important, if you notice, there's an expansion. It looks like wings on either side, and this is that comes in between the area of the root chakra, sacral chakra, and solar plexus. It's all in this area, and it even starts at the beginning at the heart. And so then you can see all the stuff shedding away as he starts being free and open. His arms are open and he is ready to receive, so to speak. And as a result, he's going into this expanded state. So why I've always loved, I've watched this image, and I saw this image probably, I don't know, back in 2009 or 2010. And it just moved me so much because it really showed me what I was seeing in my meditations and what it's about. This is you guys. This isn't some special person. This is you, all of you, and what you're going through right now. So all these things are happening. They're pushing your buttons. You maybe don't have a lot of money. You maybe have lost your job, or even it doesn't have to be. All those things come in different experiences. So back in the last recession, it was my job and everything. All those things I told you about in 2006, the relationship and everything. Now I'm having to face other insecurities and other things about myself to find out why I'm not consistent to work towards my dreams, all these other things, the things that I'm passionate about. And these are the things that each level we go. So we maybe master this level, and then we start to get a little bit incongruent or out of balance. And it's because as we start to get out of balance, we're heading to a new lesson, so to speak. And then we start to grow as individuals, and we start to do this is a great image of ascension. And I think it's really powerful. And what I found even more interesting about this is actually an image that a friend of mine, it's a painting a friend of mine did, and basically this is the painting of Archangel Michael, his rendition of Archangel Michael. But if you notice, next to these different pictures, this man or this gentleman going through the ascension process, they're both have wings, right? And light is coming out of their head. And so it's really phenomenal when you think about this, because what are wings? People that saw wings on spiritual beings back in the day, what were they? It's the expansion of your energy, so to speak. It is not necessarily feathered wings on your body. It's the expansion of your consciousness, so that you start to expand to that unconsciousness and become illuminated and understand that you're all a part of the same thing. Right now we're in this, we can be a one and still be individuals. And so, but we understand that we're all interconnected, so to speak. But it's our separation and our need to attack one another, in the need to fight with one another, the need to be better than another person when we're all from the same source, so to speak. And so that's really kind of what I've been seeing, is that we're going through. And that's one of the reasons why I talk so heavily about the inner journey, because as we start facing these demons, as we start letting go of them, as we start changing and getting rid of the cross-purposing so that we can be in flow with our soul and our intentions in our manifestations, then what we're going to do is we're going to start seeing. That's why 2020 is about 2020 vision. I joke a lot about it. I was like, dang, 2020 has been, blah, blah, blah. And so, but really 2020 is about teaching us how to focus so that we can grow through that and expand our consciousness as those images suggested. I'm going to end right here. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I am going to be doing another session next Monday, or no show next Monday. Hopefully, I'm trying to confirm, but the Monday after that, I believe it's the 24th. I think my friend Nicole Frolic is coming on. I also have a woman named Joanne DiMaggio, who I absolutely love, to talk about life between life. And so coming up in September. And then I have another gentleman that's coming on. His name is Michael Grosso, who's talking about the smile of the universe. And we're going to be talking about his book coming up here very shortly. And then this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be on my friend Elias's show. I'll be sharing it here, but you'll be able to see it here on any of my channels. I'll be sharing them as well. So if you like the show, please share it. Please go to my website and sign up for my newsletter. It's at jeremymcdonald.net. And as always, yes, I am doing sessions, and you can book that at my website as well. Kimberly, thanks for tuning in. Much love, and everybody have a blessed day. Peace.